I walked into the house after a 30-mile bike ride and found my wife sitting at the table with a serious expression on her face. Most men in that situation would feel like saying, "Damn it," but I knew what was going on. It was very difficult for me to match her seriousness. "Jack, we need to talk," Jessie said. "Can I take a shower first, Jessie?" "I'd rather get this over with." Of course, what Jessie wanted was important, but deep down I knew that only made me more sarcastic. I grabbed a glass of cold tea and sat down. "This is hard for me to say, Jack, because I know it will hurt you, but I've been having an affair." "With Mark or someone else? Everyone knows about your affair with Mark, so tell me if it's someone else." I liked the look of shock on her face. "It wasn't with someone else. What kind of woman do you take me for?" "Oh, Jessie, you really want me to answer that question because it's really going to ruin the little speech you've been preparing all week." The look of shock returned to her face. "Wait a minute, what do you mean everyone knows?" "Jessie, you weren't the sharpest tool in the shed during this whole affair, but I think a primary school teacher should understand what everyone knows means." Jessie was clearly confused. She stared at the prepared text, searching for answers that weren't there. I tried my best to keep a straight face, afraid I would start laughing. "Wait a minute, how long have you known?" "Since the middle of last school year. I'm pretty sure that's when your affair with Mark started." "Why didn't you say anything?" "We're getting sidetracked, Jessie. Judging by the papers in your hands, you have something to tell me. But to answer your question, you treated me like an incredible bitch for years before the affair started. I admit your affair destroyed what little I still felt for you, and I instructed my lawyer to prepare divorce papers. After going through all the stages of grief several times, I realized that your bitchiness had subsided to a tolerable level. More importantly, you left me alone. I realized that I didn't miss having sex with you. Even before the affair, we hadn't made love, and if we were intimate, I wore a condom. You never know what you can catch from a street whore." Jessie was completely confused. She barely noticed the insults. "Who else knows?" "The list is very long, Jessie, and I'm sure I don't know everyone on it. Telegraph, telephone, tell a woman. If you narrow it down a bit, I might be able to help you." "Do the kids know?" "Oh, yes. You would have found it cute if it weren't for the words they used to describe their mother, a cheater and a whore." I was sitting in the living room watching TV when the three of them came in, with Stephen as their representative. I was very impressed with how carefully he had prepared his speech. He was so worried that I would be devastated. They looked confused when I smiled and said I knew everything. We went to the kitchen and had a great time discussing you over ice cream. The only question they couldn't answer was, "Are you really that stupid? Or did you think we were? Haven't you noticed that they haven't talked to you or hugged you since you started your affair?" But to not drag this part of the conversation out, just accept that everyone we know knows about your affair, except maybe your parents, whom I've always hated. Tears welled up in Jessie's eyes and her hands began to shake. "You wrote a lot more, Jessie. Let's continue, please," I said with a big smile on my face. She looked at me, and I knew she was switching into bitch mode. "I wanted to tell you that I've decided to end the affair and focus on us." She looked as if I should have thrown myself at her feet and thanked her for giving us a second chance, or as if violins and trumpets should have been playing in the background. She didn't realize that her appearance was making me sick. With a serious expression on my face, and I was serious, I said, "Jessie, I was hoping that in the last moments of our marriage, you would show me some respect and be honest with me. Maybe you don't remember how to do that anymore. I know you didn't decide to end the relationship." "What do you mean?" "You remember Linda, Mark's wife. We were always friends. But after you two started your affair, we became very good friends, without any intimate relations. None of us wanted to stoop to the level of the whores we married. Of course, after meeting you, she no longer felt threatened by our affair. We talked often, and recently she told me that Mark no longer satisfies her in bed. His age was catching up with him, and he couldn't satisfy her, you, or the dozen other women he was sleeping with anymore. She gave him an ultimatum. Break up with you and the others, or she would divorce him and rape him in court. Of course, he gave in, and that was supposed to be his speech to you on Monday. There was a lot in my little speech, and tears were streaming down her cheeks. Mark was cheating on me with other women? Yeah, that sucks, huh? It's like someone just stabbed you in the back. I get it. Jessie leaned back in her chair, almost falling off it. Yes, Mark broke up with us, but I'd been thinking about it for a long time. He didn't say anything about Linda demanding that we end our relationship. I told you what Mark should have said. I'm afraid I'll have to tell Linda, and Mark will be in even deeper trouble. Maybe he'll want to get back together with you. For a moment, I felt sorry for Jessie, but only for a moment. She was on the edge, and I wanted to deliver the knockout blow. It didn't take me long to get over the affair, but the sympathetic looks from those around me were killing me. So I started riding my bike and spending hours alone. You look really down, Jessie. Linda and I are seeing a psychologist. She's really good. Can I give her your number? You and Linda go to the same psychologist? We don't go together every time. Maybe once every 2 weeks it gives us a chance to talk things over with someone neutral, someone who helps us stay on the same page. There's no animosity between us, there never has been. We've even become good friends and enjoy each other's company, but neither of us would ever cross that line. We respect each other and ourselves too much. She's a very beautiful woman your age, but she looks at least 10 years younger. What a step backward for Mark to trade Linda for you. I know it was a cheap shot, but I was just getting started. We discovered that we have a lot in common. We had a great time this morning riding bikes. Right from the start, we realized we could sit at home and sulk while our spouses had fun together, or we could go out and enjoy life. You have to understand that every time you and Mark were in bed, Linda and I were going to the movies, out to dinner, to the theater, or to a concert. Last month, she had a great time at a Springsteen concert when I managed to get tickets to the company box. We sat next to the CEO and his wife, who are also big Springsteen fans. Linda and the CEO's wife really hit it off. I should have added that Jessie loved Springsteen and loved the novelty of sitting in a box instead of with the common people in the stands. I wanted to give her a taste of what she had missed. Over the course of a year, I had built up a lot of anger that I wanted to vent on Jessie, but at that moment, I needed a hot shower. Jessie was still looking at her papers, searching for answers. Anything else, Jessie? I need to take a shower. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Things didn't go as I planned. I have so many questions, and I don't know where to start. One more question, Jessie, and I'm going to take a shower. We can talk later if you want. You said you went biking with Linda? God, Jessie, is this where this is going? Yes, almost every time I went biking, Linda was with me. She always had a nice butt, but bike rides made it even better. Of course, she says the same thing about mine. It's one of those things that makes us regret deciding to keep our relationship platonic. Judging by her butt, I'm not surprised Mark chose her over you. So write down any other questions you have, and we'll discuss them later. By the way, I'm going to tell the kids about our conversation, so you should expect a reaction from them that they've been building up for the last year. Maybe you should spend some time with your parents and figure yourself out. Maybe tell them what an idiot you are. While the shower was running, I sent the kids a text message telling them that their mother had made a big confession that morning. I heard Jessie leave and arranged to meet Linda for lunch in an hour. Linda was furious that Mark hadn't followed her instructions about what to tell her. We were both using the same lawyer and had filed for divorce a few months ago. I was stalling because I needed more time to protect myself financially. I wanted Jessie to get the papers on Monday after school, maybe when she was getting into her car. Linda was going to give the papers to Mark in the morning before class started. That would give Mark a few hours to calm down. I liked that idea. When I got home from Linda's after lunch, Jessie and Stephen's cars were in the driveway. They were sitting across from each other at the kitchen table. I heard the end of the speech Stephen had prepared for his mother, and knowing Stephen, I was sure it was well rehearsed. Jessie was crying hysterically. "Everyone having a good time?" I asked as I walked into the kitchen, pouring myself some iced tea and joining them at the table. "Hi, Dad," he said, standing up and giving me a big hug. This guy was getting strong. "I just wanted to make sure that Jessie understands that she no longer has any relationship with me, my brothers and sisters, or our extended family. We don't want anyone to catch anything from Jessie, who knows what she's infected with now or what she'll catch in the future. Besides, she no longer has the right to call herself our mother. Sorry, I have to run. Maybe you and Linda want to come over for barbecue tomorrow." "I'll come, Stephen, and let you know if Linda has plans." As he said goodbye, he hugged me again so tightly that it hurt my chest. I don't know if his emotions were playing a role, but if he keeps this up, we're going to have to talk. "I didn't expect you back so soon, Jessie. I forgot my phone, and when I came back, I saw you leaving, and I followed you when you went to lunch with that whore." I struggled to contain my anger, and when I spoke, Jessie began to back away. "Jessie, Linda is far from a whore. That's what you are, and you deserve it. I'm trying to be friendly, and you keep insulting a friend who helped me through the despair your affair threw me into. Am I making myself clear?" "I'm sorry, Jack. Today has been a nightmare. Everything went wrong. I needed to take my anger out on someone. You have no idea how I felt seeing the two of you together, in the place where I should have been." "Jessie, you're out of your mind. How do you think I felt every time I saw you with Mark, knowing he was your lover? I'm sure your feelings are nothing compared to the pain I've been through." Jessie started crying again, and I left the kitchen to watch TV. She was looking for sympathy, but she didn't get it. During her affair, her friends started ignoring her. Any woman who cheats with a married man is a threat to their marriages. I don't know what her parents or siblings knew. She was never close to her brothers and sisters. At the beginning of our relationship, I tried very hard to be friendly with her parents, but that ended when they ignored Stephen's birth. A few hours later, I went into the kitchen to make dinner. Cooking dinner had become the norm for me because I never knew when Jessie would be busy with her lover. She was still sitting at the kitchen table, looking almost catatonic. She looked up at me when I took out the pots. "I was going to make dinner, Jack." "Really? I don't remember the last time you made dinner for me. Is this part of your focus on us? Because I want to make one thing clear. You're a real idiot if you think you can live with another guy for a year and then there's going to be a us after that. I've changed my mind. Cook whatever you want. I'm going out to eat." "Can I go with you?" I laughed and shook my head. "I don't want to be seen with you in public anymore. It's too humiliating. I don't want anyone to think I took you back." As I walked away, Jessie was crying, and I realized I wasn't really hungry. There was a hill with a beautiful view not far from the parking lot. It was a great place to clear my head, so I headed there. I was surprised to see Linda there. "Sorry to bother you, Linda. I didn't know you were here." "Jack, I'm so glad to see you. I'm sorry I gave Mark an ultimatum. Now he's been kissing my ass all day. He pretended he didn't understand what I said to Jessie. Everything should have stayed the same. They would have left us alone and then, I don't know. I'm confused. The old arrangement had its advantages, but now Jessie is crying in my kitchen and wants to focus on us, as if after a year of sex with Mark we can make up. She followed me to the restaurant and saw us having lunch. She even told me how much it hurt her that she wasn't sitting at the table with me. I must be in some kind of parallel reality. I feel the same way, Jack, when I hear what comes out of Mark's mouth. Almost every time he says something, I'm left speechless. Jack, I thank God that I have you in my life, a rock of sanity that I can hold on to. I worry about what will happen to us after our spouses are handed the papers on Monday. Our relationship is based on our spouse's infidelity. Linda, I strongly disagree with your last statement. Our cheating spouses may have created our relationship, and maybe I don't understand them, but it has grown into something much more. And it is this relationship that has saved my sanity. Again, men constantly misread signals, but I pray that after Monday we will still be together. I don't know how it will be, but I will be happy as long as you are in my life. Linda turned to me, kissed me, it was our first kiss, and hugged me. I'm sorry I crossed the line, Jack. I'm not Linda, but I'm not going to respond because once I let go of the brakes, I may not be able to stop. We're so close to the finish line. I'm glad you have brakes. That's how our relationship works. We support each other when we need to. And I almost forgot, Stephen invited us to dinner tomorrow before Jessie, and it was right after he told her that the three of them no longer considered her their mother and she shouldn't contact them. I'd love to go to dinner with you. All this time we've been together, we've never included our children. It would be great to meet them. I'll have to check with my son and daughter. I'll call Stephen and ask if we can come as a couple tomorrow, or if it will be 3 or 4. Let's make it 3. My daughter recently broke up with her last boyfriend, who was cheating on her, of course. Stephen and his wife were thrilled that there would be 3 of them. Linda's children were a little more reserved but agreed to come. Stephen was the only one who had met Linda before. We were having dinner when Stephen and his wife walked into the restaurant. I introduced them, then called Stephen and explained our friendship without strings. He didn't say anything, but his voice sounded much more relaxed. A few minutes later, he called back and apologized for judging my relationship, saying that considering all the crap Jessie had done, I deserved someone in my life, even if it didn't come with any benefits. I know he told his brothers and sisters about it because they keep joking about whether I've gotten any perks yet. Dinner went great, and everyone seemed to be having a good time, especially my youngest son, David, and Linda's daughter. They were completely absorbed in each other, and I know they've already made plans for next weekend. I knew Monday morning would be terrible, so I sent Linda a message. Whatever happens today, I really want us to stay together when this is all over. Jack, I completely agree with you. That hope is probably the only thing getting me through this. I'm so glad David and Lisa got along so well yesterday. She talked about David the whole way home. I haven't seen her that happy in a long time. Mark was furious when dinner wasn't on the table last night, and I thought he was going to lose it when he found out we had dinner with you and your family. I took Monday off, not knowing how Jessie and Mark would react. Jessie pulled into the driveway right after dinner was served and ran into the house so fast she didn't notice the "For Sale" sign on the front lawn. What the hell, Jack? I told you I broke up with him because I wanted to focus on us, and you filed for divorce right in front of my coworkers. Do you realize how humiliating that was? Let's break that sentence down, Jessie. First, you didn't end the relationship your sleazy lover did. Second, I told you there was no future for us after you spent the last year sleeping with Mark. Third, all your colleagues knew you were sleeping with Mark, so I don't understand why you were embarrassed, or were they laughing at you for getting what you deserved? Jessie lowered her head and slumped into a chair. What now, Jack? I suggest you hire a lawyer and have him check the divorce papers. I'm afraid there's nothing to divide. I was in a terrible depression when you brought Mark into the picture and started gambling. Of course, I started out with a big win, but then I lost almost everything. Linda saved me and got me into Gamblers Anonymous, and it was her counselor who saved the money for our child's education. At the same time you brought Mark into our lives, I lost my job. Thanks to unemployment benefits and temporary work, I was able to keep us afloat. But last week, the benefits ran out. I'm afraid you won't get alimony or child support, so you'll probably owe me money. God, Jack, what a mess you've gotten yourself into. Jessie, all this shit started when you got Mark. If that hadn't happened, I would never have started gambling and walking around like a zombie when my company was being reorganized. You created all this. I'm not taking responsibility. I'm packing my things and moving back to my parents' house. I can't believe you threw away 23 years so easily. Considering you spent the last year partying with Mark, that would only be 22 years. And I think the whole world would agree that you threw them away the moment you first slept with Mark. Go to hell, Jack. Just go to hell. Half an hour later, Jessie came downstairs, dragging a suitcase behind her. Can you help me with this, Jack? I carried the bag to her car and threw it in the trunk. By the way, Jessie, your car lease is up next month and I'm not going to renew it, and your cell phone is also up. Without my severance pay, I just can't afford it. Go to hell, Jack. I don't need you. Then she saw the for sale sign and her eyes lit up as if she were looking at diamonds. I'm entitled to half the proceeds from the sale of our house, right? If it were our house, you'd be right. But it was never our house. It was my grandparents' house, owned by a trust fund, and I was allowed to live here. As soon as I move out, the house has to be sold, and the proceeds go back to the trust fund. Go to hell, Jack. I felt pretty smug. A year of financial planning was paying off. An experienced lawyer with an experienced forensic accountant might have been able to find where the money had gone, but I had well-documented gambling losses that would be difficult to dispute, even if the actual losses were insignificant. But Jessie didn't have the money to hire an experienced lawyer or an experienced forensic accountant. I knew that. I sent Linda a text message with a brief summary of my morning. She said that Mark had come home at lunchtime and said he was very sorry about how things had turned out. Then he had packed all his things and left. I don't know what's best, she wrote. Your relationship ended with a small explosion, and mine with a barely audible sigh. While we were texting, the new mattress I had ordered was delivered, and there was new bedding in the trunk of my car. Linda, why don't you come over for dinner tonight, and we'll start our new life together? Let's go out to dinner, Jack. I bought a beautiful dress for tonight and can't wait for people to see me in it on your arm. It will be our debut in society. And by the way, I'll bring a bag with my things for the night when you take this dress off me. To hell with the lines.